Hello everyone, the Derby Trail is winding down. We're going to talk about the Wood Memorial Stakes, the Bluegrass Stakes, and the Santa Anita Derby all in one video. And because we're talking about all three races, I can't spend too much time on each horse. Let's try to get through it quickly, and let's start off with the Wood Memorial Stakes. Of course, the Wood Memorial is on Saturday at Aqueduct, and the favorite might be Rodriguez. He comes from California, he's a Baffert entry, and Mike Smith is on him, and he might just go straight to the front. There's one thing that worries me about him, even though he's been facing good horses. I don't know if he wants 9 furlongs. Let's watch the San Felipe Stakes. Rodriguez is second right now. Journalism is rounding up on the outside, and he's going to pass Rodriguez. And that's fine. Journalism is a good horse. But it bothers me that Rodriguez didn't keep up with the two horses, Barnes and Journalism. He just faded back, and he couldn't keep up at all here. You see that Barnes, even though Barnes is going to lose this race, Barnes did fight back, and both Journalism and Barnes separated from Rodriguez, who was many lengths back, and I don't know, that doesn't look like a 9 furlong horse to me, although I understand he was facing better horses. In this spot, it worries me because he's going to face pressure from Sand Devil from the start. Well, he will just have to outsprint Sand Devil if he wants to shake him loose early, but there's also Captain Cook, there's also Bear Claw Necklace, there's other speed in this race, and I'm just concerned that he won't get 9 furlongs. With a likely fast pace ahead, Hill Road might be a logical choice. He was a closing third in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and then when he came back, he was a closing third. Well, he was a mild third in the Tampa Bay Derby. He had no pace to run into, and he probably lacked fitness coming into the Tampa Bay Derby. And now he's probably more fit coming into the Wood Memorial. Still, I wonder if he's going to be underlaid, because Chad Brown trains him, Joel Rosario's on him, and I've seen a couple of public handicappers pick him already, so he might seem too obvious. I wonder if the odds will be lower than one would hope for. Let's go for a long shot in this race. I'm going to go for a long shot. My long shot is Statesman. I know it's a bit of a stretch. He's only a maiden and optional claimer winner at Tampa Bay Downs, but he keeps overcoming a slow pace. Let's take a look at that optional claiming win on February 26. Last a bit longer, had every right to win this race. He was uncontested. He set 24.60, 48.86 fractions, and Statesman is behind the wall of horses, but he pulls to the outside. And you see that Statesman, once he pulls to the outside or swings to the outside, he starts to get in motion, and now he's going to come pretty fast. I mean, Last a Bit Longer was pulling away from the field, but Statesman, he's coming like an express train right here, and that's such a big turn of foot visually that I can't ignore it. And I like the fact that the pace didn't help him. The pace was against him, the wall of horses was against him, but Statesman overcame those obstacles, and he still won anyway with a rush towards the end. And I think he will only get better with distance. His Damn Icon project won the Personal Instant Stakes back when it was a 10 furlong race. And who knows, maybe the pace will set up for him. I definitely think he has to be double-digit odds to take him, but he's going to be my choice. I think he will be at least 10-1 or higher. Statesman is my long shot for the Wood Memorial. Let's talk about one more horse. Now, Captain Cook has done nothing wrong. He broke his maiden by over 9 lengths on this course, and then he came back to win the Withers Stakes by 2.25 lengths. It was a long way back to Omaha back in third. And my only problem is he might get burned out trying to chase Rodriguez on the rail. Rodriguez is just going to go. And Captain Cook, if he wants to use his tactical speed, he's going to have to run fast fractions to keep up with him. And I wonder if that's going to wear him out. But maybe he could handle it. He's already handled 9 furlongs on this course. He's going to be in my top 4. He's just not my preference. My preference is Statesman, and I know he needs to improve. I know he's making his greatest stakes debut. But when the public doesn't like a horse, it's more acceptable to take a horse like this with no stakes experience. And the pace will help him, the distance will help him, and the odds will be right. Over 10-1 probably. And he's going to be my top choice. Statesman, but I know that Hill Road can win as well. I mean, they're both closers, so both Statesman and Hill Road will get a setup, and we'll say that Captain Cook is my third preference, and we'll put Rodriguez in fourth. Those are my top 4 for the Wood Memorial Stakes. Let's move on and talk about the Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland. In the Bluegrass, we talk about River Thames. He might be the morning line favorite. I don't have the morning line on me. But River Thames is a good horse. He was second in the Fountain of Youth Stakes. He got run down by Sovereignty. But Sovereignty ran a good race in the Florida Derby. He just had some trouble in the Florida Derby. And I think that Sovereignty will be one of the main contenders in the Kentucky Derby. I wonder if River Thames wants to go 9 furlongs, though. Let's talk about Owen Almighty, who is going to be pressing River Thames, as well as East Avenue. East Avenue might be on the lead, actually. But first, let's talk about Owen Almighty. Owen Almighty was second in the Sam F. Davis Stakes, and then he went on to win the Tampa Bay Derby. But I thought he had a great trip in that race, a 48.5 on the lead. And the two Chad Brown horses behind him, Chancer McPatrick and Hill Road, they came into that race lacking fitness. And the other contender in that race, Patch Adams, was carried out wide on the first turn. So Owen Almighty had a great trip. And I think he faces a tough pace scenario in this spot, with River Thames on the inside and East Avenue on the outside. I don't know if he can even keep up with East Avenue, and I think that trying to chase him or trying to press him will be very tiring. So I'm not going to pick Owen Almighty. He's not for me. With a given speed in this race, I prefer closers. But out of the speed horses, East Avenue might actually last. East Avenue, I hated him in the Risen Star Stakes. I couldn't understand all the hype over East Avenue coming into the Risen Star off a bad race in the Breeders' Cup and off a layoff. And I know he stumbled at the start of the Breeders' Cup. I don't really care. He never got into the race. And then in the Risen Star Stakes, it wasn't that bad of an effort. Off that layoff in a 9 furlong race, he tried to chase Magnitude in the early stages, and he just got tired towards the end. And of course he got tired. It was a 9 furlong race, and he came off a layoff. And this is a different situation. He's more fit, and I don't think that Owen Almighty and River Thames can keep up with him. I think he might go to the lead, and even if he takes some pressure, he might handle it. But I don't know if he'll have enough at the end to handle the closers. So let's talk about those closers. The obvious closer might be Chancer McPatrick, who was a 2-time Grade 1 winner as a 2-year-old, and then he was 6th in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And then when he came back in the Tampa Bay Derby, as I said, I don't think he was fit enough for that race. And he didn't get a good pace scenario either, because Owen Almighty had an easy trip up front. And we're going to watch the race. We see Owen Almighty up front, getting nominal pressure from a long shot. And Chancer McPatrick is on the inside. And Chancer McPatrick is going to try to move through the inside. You see Chancer trying to move right now. But Owen Almighty had all that energy stored up, and he just separated from the field right here. Chancer McPatrick, to his credit, doesn't let his stablemate go by him. You see Hill Road on the inside, and he's going to finish second by himself. And I thought it was a good effort, given the pace scenario and the fact that he probably came into the race lacking fitness. My concern is the value, because Chad Brown trains him, and Flavio Prada is aboard, and he might seem like the obvious closer to many people because he's a 2-time Grade 1 winner, so he's the name horse of the race. People are familiar with him because he won those races at Saratoga and Aqueduct as a 2-year-old. There's another closer in this race that I like, or maybe more of a stalker. Burnham Square disappointed many bettors in the Fountain of Youth at Gulfstream when he finished 4th, but he was coming towards the end. Let's take a look at that race and see what happened. Burnham Square is in 5th right now. His jockey is wearing red, and he switches to the outside as Sovereignty passes him. And once he's in the clear, he actually starts to move well, and you can see that Burnham Square is going to make up ground towards the end. And River Thames on the lead. Sovereignty runs him down, but Burnham Square almost got 3rd there. He was just short of 3rd, and I just think he wasn't trying on the turn. I know that sounds strange, but remember, they had to put blinkers on him because the trainers said that he wasn't concentrating or he wasn't giving his all. And in the Holy Bull Stakes, he beat Tappan Street, who went on to win the Florida Derby over Sovereignty. And so I think he deserves another chance. He's going to be in a good position behind the speed, maybe 3 or 4 lengths behind the speed. And if it goes pretty fast, he could take advantage and make his move on the turn. He's my top pick in this race, and I just think the value will be there. So to round up my picks for the Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland, Burnham Square should take advantage of the pace scenario. And Chancer McPatrick also has a chance, but I also think out of the speed horses, East Avenue, he could take them all the way, but he's not my preference. Burnham Square, Chancellor McPatrick, East Avenue, those are the top 3 for me in the Bluegrass Stakes. Let's move on to the Santa Anita Derby. Now, for the Kentucky Derby, I might prefer journalism, but for this race, the Santa Anita Derby, Citizen Bull might be the right horse. I just think he'll be sent to the lead, and Barnes will be right next to him, and I can't imagine Bob Baffert dueling himself with his own horses, so I think the fractions will be moderate at best. Let's take a look at Citizen Bull and his effort in the Robert B. Lewis Stakes. We catch him in mid-stretch, and you see that Citizen Bull is handling his own stablemates, Medicaid Road on the inside, Rodriguez on the outside. He's handling them easily, and he's pulling clear towards the wire in a strong manner. From a visual standpoint, it was a very powerful win. Even though he only won by about 3 lengths, it looked more powerful than that. And we know that Medicaid Road went on to run well in the Rebel Stakes at Oaklawn. I just think that Citizen Bull will be tough to run down once he's on the lead through moderate fractions, and maybe he'll be tougher to run down than Barnes in the San Felipe Stakes. That's not to say journalism can't win this race. All he does is keep running down Baffert horses. He ran down Getaway Card to win the Los Alamitos Futurity. He ran down Barnes to win the San Felipe Stakes. Maybe Barnes has distance limitations. We'll see. Maybe journalism will win this race, but he doesn't need to win. He could just finish second or third and still go on to Churchill Downs, and that's where I'll like him, most likely. I hope he runs well, but I think that Citizen Bull is probably the right horse here. As for Barnes, like I said, I don't know if he wants 9 furlongs, because he had an uncontested lead in the San Felipe Stakes, and he still lost to journalism by more than a length and 3/4. And I know he still ran a fast race, and if we don't count journalism, we could say that Barnes would have won by 9.5 lengths over Rodriguez in second. But still, I just wonder if the extra half furlong will be too much at this level. He's still going to run a fast race, but I feel at 9 furlongs there might be 1 or 2 horses that will always be better than him. And in this case, maybe it'll be Citizen Bull or journalism. And I think that Barnes will be third in this race. I still think he'll run a good race, but I think he'll fade a little bit towards the end. I also want to mention Baeza really quick. He's a half-brother to Dornoch and Mage. Mage won the Kentucky Derby. Dornoch won the Saratoga version of the Belmont Stakes. And I wonder if he's developing a little too late. He did break his maiden by over 4 lengths on this course back in February. But still, this is a tough spot. And I wonder if he's a better horse to watch for later on, and maybe he'll make a race like the Belmont Stakes in June. But I think the Kentucky Derby might be too soon. We'll see. Citizen Bull is my top pick for the Santa Anita Derby. We'll say that journalism is my second pick, but he could win too. Journalism could win, he could finish second, and we'll say that Barnes is a fading third. Those are my top 3 choices. Thanks for listening to my picks for the Santa Anita Derby, the Bluegrass Stakes, and the Wood Memorial Stakes. I'll be back soon with another video covering the Derby Trail.